Have another drink with Jimmy, brought to you by
Ransom Spirits is a pioneering, innovative craft distillery that introduced the United States to the first Old Tom Gin and brought the world's first barrel-aged Old Tom Gin in modern history.
Have another drink, it'll make you feel better. Have another drink and you'll feel alright. If you feel down and you're under the weather, have another drink and you feel alright.
WineAcademyofUtah.com, Jimmy Santangelo, the grand poobah of the Wine Academy. And he can teach you as well.
Now, Jimmy, I think you're a liar today. Because you said you were going to tell us about gin, this Ransom Spirits.
Right.
And you have two bottles here.
Yep.
One of those, that looks like gin to
Yep.
me.
Clear,
That's clear. And, you know, that looks like gin. The other one is a lovely caramel color. That does not look like gin to me.
That's the Old Tom. Ransom Spirits, they also make wines, and we're talking today about their spirits. In their spirits lineup, they have
had their
vermouth.
wine, yeah.
Their vermouth. They have a bourbon, but we're talking about their gin lineup. The old, the London Dry, or the dry gin that they have here, the clear one, and then the Old Tom gin that they have. What I love about Ransom Spirits, so Ransom Spirits is out of Sheridan, Oregon, and what they do, what they do is they have their fields of grain that they source from. And this is one of those true grain to glass kind of distilleries where they know where the grain's coming from. The base spirit on these gins is corn, rye, and even barley. Typically, gin producers like to have a blank slate of corn that they can then build all the herbs on top of. What Ransom does is they do that same thing. We were reading the list of herbs that go into this in essences, but they also want to have characterful base spirit, which contributes to the overall arcing flavor of this product. It's a really dynamite. It's a premium gin.
Now, the one that's aged in
Pinot Noir barrels.
Okay.
Yep. So Old Tom Gin is a term in the early 1800s, Prohibition era days, even pre-Prohibition. Old Tom was a style of gin where they would transport, rather than bottles, they would transport the gin in barrels, and that's where it gains some of its color along the way.
So it wasn't on purpose. It was just a delivery system?
More of a delivery system. And the story goes, Old Tom was one of those distributors. The second story behind it, and equally as valuable, the pharmacies in the apothecaries, the pharmacies would, because the gin was a bit harsh, so they would add in a little bit of sucre, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of that aging to make it softer, more approachable. This Ransom was the first gin post-Prohibition to celebrate Old Tom Gin 25 years ago. And we have it here in our wine stores today. Goes into great Negronis, makes great Martinez cocktails.
Yeah, that's
the
what I was going to ask.
Martini
Is it
cocktail.
different drinks you make with
Yeah.
this?
So this one, the Old Tom, the darker, does have a little bit of a caramel smell. The herbs still come out. The juniper still comes out. A little bit of orange zest in there.
It's delicious. I usually don't care about gin a whole lot.
Yeah,
This is really good.
Yeah, I'm not a gin person. My wife loves gin, but I'd be curious to see what she thinks of this.
Oh, it's got a nice little pepper thing going on there as well.
Yeah.
Very spirituous. It's got a lot of... One thing I love about Ransom products, whether it's these gins here that we're showcasing today, the dry gin or the Old Tom, they're vermouths. Very herbaceous.
Yeah.
The herbs are very much in the forefront, more so than a lot of other gins. Some gins have a lane that they go down. This lane is just a bunch of herbs just busting out of the glass aromatically. What a fantastic dry martini. One of my favorite martinis with the London Dry Ransom, using their dry vermouth. Stirring it down, get it nice and cold, straining it into a martini glass, and dropping in a Gibson olive in there. That olive and the vinegar, that kind of offsets a little bit. And that's a very proper, for me, that's a real proper dry martini.
For the beginners,
yeah.
The term dry, you're using the term dry a lot. You want to explain that?
Sure. So when you have a dry product on the palate, usually it's going to be a little stronger. It might finish almost bitter on the palate, but dry implies it's not going to be a sweet drink. It's not even going to be an off-dry drink. There's no juice involved. There's no vermouth sweetness involved from other components in that cocktail. And this dry gin that we're having, the clear one, it goes great with Fever Tree Tonic.
It is.
Just
It's
a
delicious.
gin and tonic on it. So this is a delicious.
Again, I'm not a gin person, but this is delicious.
Nice.
I'm looking at the label here. The herbs they list.
Okay.
Juniper, of course, lemon, coriander, angelica root, caraway, anise, Marion berries, orris root. I've never even heard of that. Cardamom, orange. And I also like this. I was reading this on the label, too. Made entirely by hand without the use of computers or robots.
That's right. They don't outsource.
I'm going to get a
spirit
shirt.
at
I'm
all.
going to get a T-shirt with it.
Made entirely by hand without the use of computers or robots.
No,
love
it's
that.
true. There, Tad Seastad was the original founder of Ransom Gin, and he's a Central New York, upstate New York boy like me. And I've met him once or twice before here in the market. And super, just very. He's a very smart guy, and I love talking with him because he's just so precise and exact. And you can really tell his personality is reflected in the quality of this stuff, of the accuracy, of the authenticity. That's the word I'm thinking of, and the sincerity of the herbaceous, of the herbs and the essences. Nobody does a base spirit with corn, rye, barley. Everything's just blank slate, which is also good. There's nothing wrong with doing that. That's a style. But here's a style that's elevated, and it's Ransom Gin.
That's great. All right. Clearly, Jimmy knows his stuff.
Obviously.
Clearly.